Hey guys, what's up? It's Marshall from Limited Resources, and I am going to be doing another draft video for MTGO Academy. I haven't done one in a while. I've been very busy. I went on the Magic Cruise, which you've never heard of it. There's an annual cruise, and this time went up to Alaska, and it has a bunch of Magic players on it, and it was really fun. But it meant that I didn't have steady internet, so I wasn't able to do a video, which is a little bit annoying. And yeah, I've been doing other coverage stuff. I had GP Anaheim the week before that. I've got more coverage events coming up, but for now, we get to just simply draft. So let's see what we got. All right, so a couple of I've heard a lot of things about this format, and I've kind of come to my own conclusions, or I wouldn't say I'm done with it, but kind of where I want to be. And there's two main places I want to be. One of them is in red-white, which you can see we have quite a few pretty sweet cards here for that. And then also I like to be in in green-blue. That seems to be the strongest two-color combo. Now, we do have a rare here that happens to be green-blue, sort of. But it's actually just really bad. It adds 3 mana to anything that you want to flash in. That's just a huge cost and not really playable. I've been in straight-up green-blue decks and not ran that. Banishing Stroke, definitely a solid removal spell. Probably going to be my pick here. Just this year is okay, but very clunky. But when it is good, it's very good. Butcher Ghoul puts a stop to the type of deck that we might end up in here. Falkenrath Exterminator is a card that demands a lot of respect. If they get it going early, it often takes over the board state. It's just very difficult to get going early. So I'm going to take the Stroke here. And what do we get passed to us? Well, nothing too amazing. There's an Archangel. That looks like a bomb, but it kind of is, it kind of isn't. It's not what I want to be doing in this format. When it comes down, it's a 5/5 with Vigilance. It stabilizes the board, but it does get bounced very easily. The removal's not that great, but there is still like Bone Splinters out there, that kind of thing, to kill it. The hard part, though, is to getting up to 7 mana when you're playing against like an aggressive deck. We're going to be taking the Riot Ringleader here, I'm pretty sure. There's nothing really else. Commander's Authority just kind of sucks. Righteous Blow is conditional and just okay removal. You will run it. If we wield it, we'd take it for sure. Elgod Shieldmate is reasonable. Again, it's like it isn't amazing, but it does some work for you. Thunderbolt, again, conditional. Crypt Creeper, you'll throw it in your black deck, but we're going to try to stay away from black because it's probably the worst color in general. All right, now we get a couple of sweet cards here. Now, our rare is Reforge the Soul, but this is actually kind of a card that you want to avoid, generally speaking. I'm sure there's some crazy things you can come up with to do with it in Limited, but I'm going to be taking Seraph of Dawn here. This is just one of the best creatures in the whole format. It's one of the top 2 or 3 commons in the format. It's a complete stop sign. It's very difficult to get rid of. It stops aggressive decks. It can be aggressive itself. It changes races. It's just very, very good. Fettergeist is a card I'd also like to take, but since we're already in white at least a little bit, I'm going to take the Seraph here. What other cards? We see a Blood Artist, very good in the black deck. Generally speaking, it combos well with their removal, gets you a lot of value. All right, so not a lot here. Human Frailty is probably the best card in the pack. I mean, one mana instant that destroys a creature, even if it is a little narrow. There's tons of humans out there, and they die to that. And again, instant speed 1 mana removal spell in this format is just unheard of. Dreadslaver's okay. Kind of a souped up Siege Mastodon. I think probably the better card here, though, is actually just Wingcrafter, and I think it's just what I'm going to take. Midvast Protector's just okay as well, but Wingcrafter's a lot better than that. Okay. So we've got I guess it's a pretty easy choice. I'm not really sure. So there's a Mad Prophet here, which is a totally fine creature, but I kind of like blue, and I think we're going to veer over towards blue here. We're not really committed to anything yet, and we'd like to be in white. There's no good white cards for us here. Crippling Chill and Amass the Components. If you would have asked me on the first Like when the thing was spoiled, I would have thought the massive components would be a pretty easy pick here. I actually think it's crippling chill now. It changes race situations, it locks down a creature, and it cantrips to keep your momentum going. A massive components is the kind of thing that I kind of want one of in my deck, if that. And yeah, so if I, so that I can reload at some late point in the game. Not a lot here. Undead Executioner is probably the better card out of the pack. I don't think we're going to take it. Mass Appeal might be a thing. We've got two humans right now, but really only one that we're probably going to end up being in blue. But Mass Appeal can draw you a decent amount of cards, but it kind of leads you down some paths that maybe are a little bit unforgiving. Angel's Tomb is a card. I just hate that it can't block. Like, I'd probably rather just have this Bladed Bracers if I was going to take anything, and I think that is what I'm going to take here. All right, not a lot going on for our colors. We might have to get creative here. Joint Assault is a really sweet card, and Wildwood Geist is fine. I like playing that card. It beats down very hard. Butcher Ghoul is fantastic in the right deck. I think I'm just going to take a Joint Assault here. I mean, there's just really nothing for us. We could take a Call to Surf, but I'm going to avoid playing that if I can. Same thing with Midnight Duelist. Okay, now we got some choices. So Ghost Form has just proven, at least to me, to not be worth a card. Massive Components is worth a card, and we would run one. There's also a Zealous Strike, though, which is like a good aggressive card, and I think I would rather have this than an Amass. Voice of the Provinces is kind of a necessary evil in my mind. Like, you will play it. It's not the worst, but you're certainly not getting great value there. So yeah, we're still kind of figuring out where we're going to end up here. Keep an eye on the signals. Now, one of the pitfalls of this format, and something that you really have to watch out for, is that there's quite a few unplayable cards floating around. And you'll see, like, when we get to this point in the pack, as you can see right here, there's just really nothing. I mean, we don't want any of these cards. We're going to take this Havengul Scab, but, like, come on, that guy's not amazing, and there's just not a lot going on late. So if you spread out your colors like we've done, we've got a random green, random red, we don't really know where we're going quite yet, it can punish you later on playables. So you're, while it's nice, to kind of hang around and see what's open and try to make the best of the draft overall, and it can pay off, you're taking on a little bit more risk in this set than I think you normally would be. Not much here. You just straight up nothing here, really. All right. Well, we're happy to pick up a Voice of the Provinces here. There's nothing else in the pack anyway. Leaning towards blue-white, but we'll see. I mean, our blue is not amazing. We've got a Crippling Chill and our Wingcrafter. This Havengul Scab is kind of maybe, maybe not. And our green and red, there hasn't really been a whole lot going around, so these are probably just going to get cut, but we'll see. Green's one of the better colors in the format, I think. I played green-white once. It was okay. We'll hide this guy. Sure. See if we can open something that kind of shoves us down a path here, as opposed to this, kind of floating around in the middle type stuff. All right, what do we get? Well, there's one obvious card here, which is a second Seraph of Dawn, and I don't really see anything in this deck that would make me not take our second Seraph of Dawn. Our rare is a Somberwald Sage. It's an explosive card. It can enable some really crazy stuff, but it's also not the most stable card, and sometimes you ramp into nothing, and it doesn't really do anything other than that. So it's, kind of a hit and miss type card. There's a second Blood Artist. We're going to have to watch out for somebody running two of those, especially if we're in blue-white, because we can't really do anything about it. But for now, we're just going to slam our second Seraph of Dawn. All right. Well, we've got some choices here, boys. So I saw the Nephalia Smuggler first, and I was pretty stoked because that card can do some really neat stuff, although not really in our deck. But then I saw a rare, which is Deadeye Navigator. So it's 5/5 for 6, which we would just straight up play. Yeah, we just run that no matter what. And as long as it's paired with another creature, each creature has blink this. Now it comes back in, it has to repair, but you can just indefinitely blink anything. So you start getting stuff with enters the battlefield effects or worrying about removal, and it can take it out. Now, normally I would just windmill this guy, but man, we've also got a Nearheath Pilgrim here in this pack, and this card's very, very good. This has to be one of the better uncommons in the set as well. There's also an Alchemist's Apprentice, a Moonlight Geist, which we would happily run. Flicker might even make the cut depending, and maybe Voice would as well. But I think we might actually get something on the wheel, because there's also a Cathar, Borderland Ranger, and a Thunderous Wrath. So we might get something, but I have to decide between the Pilgrim and the Navigator. I think we're just going to go big and go for the Navigator, but my gut actually tells me that that's the correct pick. But with 2 Seraph of Dawns, I think we will still be alive till a later part in the game, and we can resolve a Navigator, and he can come down and just completely take over. Really strong card. Okay, so we see another Archangel. We see one of the other better uncommons in the set with the Druid's Familiar. Now, this guy does serious work. This is a card that we don't want to see on the other end of the table. We're going to need to pick up some 2-drops at some point. There's also a Gryff Vanguard, which works very well with our Deadeye Navigator. We can just draw a card off it every single time. I think I am going to go ahead and go with the Vanguard, but we're going to have to keep our eye out for picking up those 2-drops, because they are pretty necessary to our plan. All right, so Peel from Reality or Cloud Shift are the 2 cards that I'm really looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and assume that we're going to just stick to this. I don't know if we're going to be splashing or not. Spectral Prison's also playable. Peel. I think I'm going to go with the Cloud Shift this time. Hopefully we're going to pick up a Mistraven or 2. I mean, a boy can dream, right? And it's really good with that. Peel from Reality is sweet too. It's just a little bit slower. It does a little bit more on the other side and not as much on yours. Actually, I think maybe I will go with the Peel here. I kind of like the idea of bouncing their guys out of the way, given what we've seen so far. All right, well, there's just nothing for us here. So we're going to pick either a Gloom Widow or a Searchlight Geist. There's a Pathbreaker Worm. There's also Exquisite Blood, which is like not that good, but can be very annoying. As long as they're beating you down, you can never erase them. Gloom Widow probably gets in our way the most. Yeah, I think we'll take the Gloom Widow here. All right, well, there's a Devout Chaplain, and he's pretty sweet, but I really like just picking up the 2-drops here to make sure that we're not dead. That's pretty much what we're doing here. In fact, I might even take a Haunted Guardian. This isn't a card that I'm a big fan of. Like, maybe I'll just take the Fleeting Distraction, but I think that this is starting to become a deck that looks like it actually wants a Haunted Guardian. If you take a look at our curve, we could use some low-end help here. And we've got 2 Seraph of Dawns, a Vanguard, Deadeye Navigator, and then maybe a Voice of the Provinces. We've got a pretty nice high-end. We just need to be alive when we get there. So let's run that. All right, here's the components that I would like to take, but I'm not going to pass a Moonlight Geist. It's just a very solid 3-drop. I think it's better than the Galvanic Alchemist attacks and that kind of thing, so we're just going to take it. Yeah, and we'll take a Defang. This isn't a card that I'm a huge fan of, but when you are trying to go to the skies and beat them down in the air, Defang can be pretty good. You can use it to neutralize a threat on the ground that would normally be trying to race you, and meanwhile you just kill them in the air. Also, a lot of times your opponent will put up one flyer or one thing with reach that might not have that high of toughness. You know, just some random, maybe they play their own Gryff Vanguard or something, and you can get them with that. All right, I'm definitely going to take a second Moonlight Geist here. These are the type of things that I want to curve out with, and then start tempoing them with Crippling Chill and Peel from Reality, and then finish strong with Vanguards into like Deadeye Navigator. That's the dream, at least. None of these really do anything for us. We'll just take a second Seraph Sanctuary, but I don't usually run those. Maybe I do now. I've got a couple of these, but that colorless mana is so rough. I mean, you might not cast these because you run it, and that's definitely not worth it. Well, that sure is nice. I'll take that all day. Cloud Shift, I think, is a card that a lot of players recognize as good early, and a lot didn't. And it's actually very good. I don't need any of these. I mean, this isn't the worst, but it's pretty bad. And Commander's Authority number 2 comes around. All right, so we're looking for. I mean, we're heavy into white here, and we've got some blue cards, but like this Havengul Scab, we could definitely consider just getting him out of there. All right, so what did we get? Well, our rare is a Descendant's Path, which is not what we were looking for. We did hit an Archangel, and that would fit just fine in our theme here. I mean, we're definitely trying to hold the ground down and live long enough to cast big stuff, and Archangel is one of the biggest non-rares that you can get. There's also a Gold Knight Commander, which can act as a more of an aggressive card, but you know, when you pair it up with things like Seraph of Dawn and that kind of thing, it can actually net you a ton of life. There's a second Crippling Chill, which I'd love to have in my deck as well. I think I'm going to take the Commander over like these other cards I mentioned, because I think it's probably one of the better cards, and I like the ability to beat down. And I also think that this Archangel might just wheel. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's likely, but I think it's more likely than the Gold Knight Commander wheeling, so we'll take it. All right, so now let's do a quick type sort here. So that's a construct. So these are humans. All right, so we've only got 3 humans. So we can't really go for the mass appeal here. So that leaves us with a Spectral Prison and a second Peel from Reality or the Holy Justiciar. I think I'm going to take the Justiciar here. Now, again, this isn't a card I'm a huge fan of. It's very fragile. It's a big mana investment, and it's also clunky to use after you get it down. But I have seen that when it does get going, it's quite good. We could also just take another Peel here. Yeah, I think I'll take the Justiciar here. Like I said, when it's good, it's very good. All right, I think I like Alchemist's Apprentice from this pack. Narstad Scrapper is okay. A second Cloud Shift is okay, but we're sitting on 12 creatures, and I think I'd rather just have a, you know, an easy to cast sort of cycling creature. All right, what is this? Arcane Melee. That counts for them and us, so that's kind of the balance thing that you don't want to be doing. Righteous Blow is a card that would make the cut for us, but I am going to take a Defy Death. The main reason is that we've got 2 Seraph of Dawns and a Voice of the Provinces, and if you've ever cast Defy Death on a Seraph of Dawn, it is big. I do enjoy that. Okay, so we're probably just going to take the Zealous Strike because it's more of an aggressive card. I really don't want a Cathedral Sanctifier, but this Geist Trappers really gets in our way. Like, it's worth considering to actually just cut it, but I don't think that we're quite to that point yet. All right, so there's a Scrapper, a Gate Guards, a Geist Snatch, a Midnight Duelist, and a Shield Mate. I think I'm just going to take the Shield Mate. I really wish I could fill out some more 3-drops here, but so it goes. All right, that'll work. Get in there. These guys work really well with Zealous Strike. You can just throw them in there. A lot of times people expect for you to attack with them either way. Like, even if you're planning on blocking their one creature, you just send your guy in, because if they block, then they trade anyway, and if they don't, then they'll take 2 damage, and then when they go to swing back, you can just block or, you know, do whatever. All right, so there's a Spectral Prison, an Angelic Wall, an Angelic Armaments, and a Call to Serve. I think this Angelic Wall actually might just be the card that we want. This is not a card that I actually like very much, but it does do some pretty sweet things as far as slowing down your opponent, although so does Spectral Prison generally. Armaments is very clunky but reasonable. Yeah, we'll give the wall a shot. Alright, so we did wield the Archangel. That's pretty sweet. We'll take it. Especially given that we just took that wall. And there's really nothing here, so we're going to take a Mass Appeal. We can do a humans check when we get to the end. Angelic Mercy is not a card that I want to be running. There's not a deck in this format that is sort of one-shot burn you out that you want that. When you're talking about ways to prolong the game and make it so that you can get to the point of casting big stuff, that is not what you want to be doing. That's basically a Band-Aid, when what you really want are cards like Haunted Guardian and like the Wall that can continually prevent damage or even just stop your opponent's game plan cold. I don't think we're going to run these Bladed Bracers, but we might. Getting Vigilance on this thing and making it even bigger is actually pretty sweet. So we're at 28 though, so I'm assuming that we're going to need to cut that. Probably cut one of these. Oh, these all seem fine. Probably don't need the Scrapper. I don't think we need this many creatures at all. Defy Death should be pretty sweet for us though, I think. Alright, so let's see what we get here. These should all be in. Yes. No. Yeah. Maybe. Navigator for sure. I think I do want this Guardian in this deck. We'll find out though. Yep. Nope. The Wall, the Strikes. We don't want that. We do want these. We probably want that. We don't want the Commander's Authorities. We do want the Banishing Stroke, the Voice, and the Archangel. That puts us at 25. All right. So we are almost here. We're almost where we want to be. We might want to run 18 lands in this deck. Gold Knight Commander. I mean, we do have actually some pretty sweet draws, but I just don't like putting Gold Knight Commander in a deck that I'm happy to run Angelic Wall and Haunted Guardian in. Like, they just don't do anything for him. And it makes me kind of nervous. I wonder if our deck could just be more aggressive though. Like, let's just say that we make those our cuts. What does this look like? So this goes here. These go down here. These Zealous Strikes are very good combat tricks in this format. All right, so we don't exactly have the most beautiful curve ever. I'm going to leave this up here because it basically is a creature. So that's what it looks like. It's not hideous, but it's not like we're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4 drop on them every game. And if we do, then we're running pretty good. But really, we need to get up to the sort of beef of our existence up here. I think the Seraph of Dawns are going to go a long way to keeping us alive. But maybe I'll dump this Guardian in here and cut the Commander. I could also cut the Justiciar, but I kind of really like that card. I could cut the Shield Mate. That's probably an easy cut, I think. Why don't we run it like this? This way we hedge a little bit by running this guy. But beyond that, we can just have beatdown draws still. Yeah, this seems fine. All right, so Moto's saying 12-5, which is clearly not correct. We do want early white for these 3 drops here and these 2 drops here. And there's 1 blue, but I mean, yeah, we'll take what we can get. We're definitely going to be heavy into the white. We have a Deadeye Navigator. That's our only double blue, and the rest of our blue is pretty easy. So I think we can go with like a 10-7 here, and I think we can just ship that. All right, so let's see what this thing does. We have a few options as far as the sideboard goes. We can dump in a Shield Mate or an Angelic Wall if it seems appropriate. Let's actually take a look at creature type here. So humans. How many is that? 7? Yeah, so that's still not quite enough. Still not quite enough. So ship this. All right, so we'll see you guys in the first round.